I think credibility is a huge reason why you would want to write a book and publish it. Being number one bestseller can be very important. Having on your sales pages, your squeeze pages. Look, here's my screenshot of my book at number one on Amazon. That can definitely be a big deal. But yeah, I mean, you're right. It has to be like the right category. So if you're number one in business and investing, that's cool. If you're number one in like aging or something like that, and you're writing a book on business, that doesn't really make you look cool at all, right? So you got to make sure you're in the right kind of category for your market. So there's a lot of things to take into account. You really have to start with anything in business is like, okay, what's the point of this? What's the purpose? Like, what is your end goal here? Like, do you want to make a whole bunch of money from royalties? Is it just like a nice extra passive income stream? Is it a way for you to increase your conversions with your high-end consulting clients or coaching clients or whatever you're working on? So get really clear on like what is your business right now, and how does having some books or one book that's number one bestseller help you with your overall strategy? So that's really key, and it's not something I can like coach you through on a podcast necessarily.
No, but I
But
understand what you're saying. I mean, having kind of like the reason why you're writing and the reason why you're publishing or the reason why you're going to be even selling, not only is going to help you dictate price point, but it's also going to help you understand where your book fits into the mold of where your income comes from, right? Regardless if
exactly.
it's your business or your side income or it is by itself a source of income. So what step do you take next once you've kind of determined this is what my book is for, now I got to get it published? What do you do?
Yeah, great. So once you understand exactly what your purpose is, what your goal is here, then you just have to write the book. So I mean, there's lots of ways to write the book. Even before that, what I like to have people do is brainstorm as many book ideas as possible, because a lot of times your first idea is not your best idea. So if you spend 15 minutes just brainstorm 20, 30 book ideas, that's going to help you a lot because you're going to get a broader perspective. And sometimes, the 18th idea is just like, oh, immediately becomes obvious that this is the best book idea for you. So then I go through a process of like real quick market research on Amazon. So what I would do is type in keywords about what you're thinking about writing about. So if you're thinking about writing about Facebook, type in like Facebook marketing, stuff like that, and see what's out there and check their sales rankings on Amazon. So sales rankings is something really important to understand. It's basically the number one. If your spot is number one on number one sales rank, then that's the best-selling book. So it's like Alexa. So the lower the number, the better the book is doing. So like number one on Alexa is Facebook, most traffic website in the world. Number two is a little bit less traffic, and so on and so forth. So if you see a category where there's books with like a sales rank of 5,000 or less, those books are doing pretty well. They're selling like at least a couple hundred copies a month, right? And so what you don't want to do is go into a category where like everything is like a sales rank of 100,000 or more, because it means they're not selling very well, right? And so look for categories that actually have traction. They actually have market share. Because yeah, you can be the number one fish in a really small market. But if depending on what your goals are, if you actually want to make money from it and royalties from it, then you're going to need a bigger market. So that's real important. It only takes like, maybe an hour or two when you're first starting out to do that research to just see what's going on in your marketplace and actually have a really, go ahead.
No, so I was going to ask a question about that. So let's say like you used a kind of an example earlier about business and investing being kind of that's a big market, right?
Yeah, so that's like what's called like a meta category. So it's like a parent category. So under business investing, there are hundreds and hundreds of other
Right.
categories.
So, but if in that category you're ranking in like 4,000, then that's really good. Correct?
Yeah, that's pretty good in business investing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good start, anyways. That's like a really good place to keep going down from, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, is there a measure, like in terms of knowing, like maybe in a larger versus smaller market, what numbers do you want to kind of look at? You use the number 5,000 in a larger market. Is there maybe a better number in a smaller market, like top 1,000 or anything else?
So it all depends. So the way that categories work on Amazon is every bestseller list only has 100 spots. So if your book is in, say, business and investing, and you're at the 101 spot, it's irrelevant. You're not featured in that category. You have no exposure from being in that category. So what you want to do, Amazon allows you to choose two basically child categories, and each child category could have 7 or 10 or more parent categories. So you get to pick two specific categories, like really niche categories, and then those each have categories above them. So what you want to do is pick two different child categories that you can rank for. Because if you're not in the top 100, it's irrelevant. So you want to start with two. So normally when you first publish, you want to start with two like really easy to rank for categories. so you can immediately get on the list and get some exposure. And then when you do your book launch, you would want to switch to some more competitive categories so that when you do really well in those categories, you get a lot more traffic and exposure from it.
Okay, I understand. So once you've actually kind of done your research, what happens next?
Okay, so then you've got your book finished. You understand what categories are going to be on Amazon. You got to do the formatting for Kindle. That's super easy, actually. A lot of people spend a lot of money on it, and it's done wrong. You can actually do it yourself. So I've got some free training videos at ebookpublishingschool.com. And the very first video, there's 15 minutes in there. I just walk you through exactly how to format your book. You can do it for free with Microsoft Word or any open source software. Super, super easy to do. So once you formatted your book, then you just have to upload it. You're going to need a book cover too. So you can go to Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com. You can get a $5 book cover. It's not guaranteed to be good. In fact, most of them will suck. Let's just honest, right? But if you get 20 of them or 10 of them, and you can check out 20 different designers, most people will find one cover that looks really good out of those 10 or 20. And you can always ask the designer, say, hey, can you make this change? Can you tweak this? Can you move this around? And they can get better for you. So if you're on a budget, that's a great way to do it. If you've got more of a budget, there's a site called 99 Designs, and it's pretty similar. So they'll have 50, 100 or more people kind of compete with the design for your book cover, and that's usually like $300 to $400 now. And then you can always.
How important is the book cover in terms of marketing? Like, how much of a role does it play? Because I mean, obviously, presentation is key in a lot of things. Does it really hold a significant impact?
Yeah, the book cover is one of the most important pieces of the puzzle when it comes to marketing, because it's going to most directly increase your conversions. The book cover and the title are the two most important. So for the book cover, you have to realize how people are buying books now. It's all on the phone. It's on the phone, the Kindle device, the tablet, the iPad, or even on the website on Amazon.com. When you look at a book cover, it's like 90 by 90 pixels, right? But it's the vast majority of your listing when people are searching through books. So your book cover looks awful if it looks childish, if it looks like your 8-year-old kid designed it in paint or something like that, then it's not going to sell well. So you want a cover that's going to help you get people to click. So first of all, people have to find your book, then they have to click your book, and they're not going to click it without an attractive cover, right? And then once they're on the page, they have to actually just make the decision to buy the book. But what happens is if you don't have a good cover, most people aren't even going to click through to your page in the first place, and you're going to miss out on a ton of sales.
Okay, so you design a cover, and then now comes the time to actually, you have the book, you've converted it to the Kindle format, which you're right, like a lot of people do spend a lot of money converting books. And I'm glad you gave those resources, because even us, when we started, we spend money on kind of a Kindle editor per se, someone who was just converting books, which was kind of pointless.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, if you can do it yourself, you can hire your VA. My VA does it.
No, exactly. And this was like I think over 4 years ago for us. But at the time, we just had no idea, so this is what we did. But yeah. I'm glad you brought up those resources. So once you have the book, now you have your cover, you have your book. What's the next step once it's actually? Do you recommend using a platform like Smashwords or some third party that kind of shoots it out to everybody, or just go direct to the source?
No, I like Amazon the most, and I like KDP Select. So Amazon owns like 70% plus of the US ebook market right now, and 80% of the UK market, which are the only two major markets right now. So like most self-published authors, you can have like 80, 90% of your sales in the US, like 15% in the UK, and maybe 5% in all the other countries. If you're a Canadian author, you might have a lot more sales in Canada, but there's really just not, most of the market is in the US and the UK. And since Amazon completely dominates those markets, and they also have some really cool benefits in their KDP Select program. So if you don't understand KDP Select, it's an exclusive 90-day agreement with Amazon that you can renew and basically say, hey, Amazon, we're only going to publish our ebook on your website, and in return, you're going to do some cool stuff for us. So one of the things that they do is they allow anyone who is an Amazon Prime member, which is millions and millions of people in the United States, to borrow one book a month for free. So any Amazon Prime member can go and borrow your book. It's totally free to the customer, but Amazon pays you royalties as if you had actually sold a book, and it counts for your sales ranking as well, which is really important. So that's one huge benefit. So normally we find that people, you actually earn more money in royalties from those borrows than you would if you had been published on Smashwords and Kobo and iBooks and Nook and everything like that.
Interesting. So going directly to the source and kind of having it only on Amazon does have a benefit versus going all over the place.
Definitely. There's a lot of other benefits too. So you can use KDP Select's promotion programs. So there's a free promotion program, so you can give your book away for free for 5 days. and you can get tens of thousands of downloads really quickly, which, so they're free downloads. So what? You don't make any money, but those are all people reading your book, right? So it'd be like having a website or blog. Anyone who's ever launched a blog, if you get 10,000 visitors in like 5 days, that's really good for a new blog, right? So it's the same way with your book. You're building up your audience. And so the biggest thing you want to do when you're launching a book is in my opinion, you don't really care like how much money do I make from a book launch? It's kind of irrelevant. It's how much buzz and momentum, how many readers do I attract? Because most of the money is made on the back end, the long term, right? If you get 100 loyal fans who love you, love what you do, and buy everything you ever put out, that's where the real money is made. So I'm not so concerned about, if I made 1,000 or 5,000 or whatever during the book launch. I'm concerned with how many long-term loyal fans did I attract, because that's what's really going to make you the most money in the long term.